Hello, this is Roy Kaylor. I'm making this YouTube video in response to inquiries uh, that I've received with regard to recent TV show called Hoarders and newspaper and TV exposure, several different channels. This will be a list of some of the things that I've done in my career uh, that have inventions that have been generally beneficial to the world. Background, uh, educationally, I went to the United States Military Academy, West Point, studied military engineering, then the College of San Mateo, an AA in engineering there, at Stanford University, a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, and a Master of Science in Physical Science, an honorary doctorate from the Aerotechnical Research Institute. One of the main things that I did that is probably most significant is that I designed a machine that is kind of a blend between a CAT scan and an MRI back before computers were significant, and with an analog approach to it that tested rockets that were made for launch from submarines to carry nuclear missiles. And in order to be a good deterrent, missiles had to effectively blow up at the target and not at launch. So the machine that I made is credited by a number of historians with the United States winning the Cold War. Okay, and then I made a electrochemical process for plating copper onto aluminum, and then whatever metal was appropriate afterwards on the copper. I gave a lecture at Stanford University in May of 1960 on the theory and implementation of stealth technology, and some of that apparently was used, and then subsequently I did work on an electric helicopter that was designed to be quiet, and much of that technology apparently was used on the stealth helicopters that basically got bin Laden recently. I did a lot of military stuff, radically improved airborne traveling wave tube amplifiers, electronic countermeasures, identification friend or foe equipment, and power supplies, radically improved traveling wave tubes, and airborne three-phase inverters, strobes, emergency locator transmitters, heads-up devices. I designed over 100 switch mode power supplies while owner of the first commercial switch mode power supply company. I did computer power supplies, UPS uninterruptible power supplies, airborne and shipborne supplies. I designed the main super high reliability power supply for Voyager feature for the Star Trekkies. Parts sourcing, prototyping, and I wrote the manual. It's been operational for over a quarter century, and it's out of the solar system. I invented the noise reduction techniques used by Dolby. I designed a driver for a linear accelerator for Arco and Siemens. I fabricated a series-type gas-electric on-road hybrid automobile in 1965, 66, 67. I made a 90-mile trip over Donner Pass in the Invader, which is now called the Kaylor, Roadster, Invader GT1 electric car. That was in 1976 to celebrate the bicentennial of the Declaration of Independence, origin of the country. I designed medical equipment for Stanford and for Kaylor medical products. I designed DC to variable DC controllers for electric automobiles and carts. Well over 1 million of those were manufactured, probably more like 10 million plus. Invented switch mode DC to AC controllers. I wrote my Stanford thesis in high efficiency polyphase quasi-sinusoidal inverter in 1964. Design of three-phase chips for Motorola and AMD. Biggie here, I designed the grid plate of lead acid batteries that are used in all vehicles, including the car you're driving. I also invented AGM absorbable glass mat batteries. I designed lithium and sodium fuel cells, the kaylor cell. I redesigned PEM, proton exchange membrane, and HTSO, or high temperature solid oxide fuel cells. I invented all 5 of the contemporary tow trucks that are in operation. I designed the power supply for the HID, high intensity discharge, or xenon short arc automobile headlights. I designed power supply for National Semiconductor Point of Sale Terminal, like what is used in Safeway and major shopping centers or stores. I designed the power supply for spectrophysics laser barcode reader, including the high voltage one to drive the laser tube. I invented the brushless DC fan that's used in every computer, including the one that's recording me presently. I designed or invented computer bus structures for the S100. That's Viacom, Morrow, Mullen, modified tandem ones. I designed well over $1 billion of sheet metal products and extrusions. I designed body, batteries, controller, mechanical drive motor, and system architecture for 110 to 120 mile per gallon at 60 mile per hour parallel diesel electric hybrid prototype for the Toyota Prius in 1982. I displayed hydrogen fuel cell automobile at the San Francisco International Auto Show in 1995. I owned 3/8 of an electric car factory in China, and with reference to the hoarders program, the site that they crushed the 20 vehicles on was the exact site from which materials were shipped to China for building an electric car, and then later a hybrid car, and that was designed to be displayed at a Japanese international auto show. That was back in about 1990. I set up and modified over 25 production lines, 8 of them for automobiles. I invented mechanical drive systems for 10 million plus small electric vehicles. I designed offline computer switch mode power supply with the present cooling technique. I designed hybrid electric trains, light rail that is, and control systems for Cybertran, Soul Train, and another. Produced about 1,200 electric conversion kits for Volkswagen Bugs. Did over 10 million full page color ads in national magazines for electric and hybrid automobiles when I was running my electric and hybrid automobile company. I designed and/or prototyped electric and/or hybrid vehicles for 10,000 each Korean and Mexican taxi cabs, 5,000 each Frito-Lay, UPS, and Federal Express delivery vans. These did not go into production, but the prototypes were built. I designed a low-cost, high-volume fighter plane. I designed defensive mods for M60 tanks. Designed some missile structures. Invented firearms with a 10 to 20% increase in muzzle energy. Invented the Rolls-Royce fiberglass hood for Volkswagen Bugs. I wrote a business plan for the Rolls-Royce fiberglass hood that was used as a Harvard MBA school model for several decades. Here's a big one. I agreed to finance Apple Computer startup. I offered the first Apple computer that was ever offered to the public for sale in my store window of an electric motorcycle store that I had. And had my money not been embezzled by my CFO, I would have 10% of Apple Computer stock, which would put me up pretty high in the food chain with regard to personal value. I designed the Orange computer in competition with the Apple computer, but I did not put that into production because electric cars started to take off at that time. I financed, site-selected, electrically wired, designed, and produced the menu California cuisine for Chez Panisse restaurant. That's where Clinton and Gore eat. I was Silicon Valley chapter president and board member of the National Electric Auto Association. I transferred lots of technology to China: floppy disks, video cassettes, hybrid electric vehicles, aeronautical technology, electronic designs, material sourcing to China: silicon, concrete, oil, fiberglass, zinc, copper, electric wheelchairs, also to Australia, Mexico, Holland, Germany, Sierra Leone. The permanent lead-in exhibit at the New York Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art. I was accepted to Harvard, Stanford, Princeton, UC Berkeley, Annapolis, Air Force Academy. I got the highest grade in New York State Regents exams in algebra, trig, trigonometry, biology, physics, chemistry. I've lectured at 25 plus schools and universities on 3 continents. I've visited 30 countries. I was offered a post as science advisor to the Beijing national government, Central Chinese government, with the same pay as Deng Xiaoping. I was offered a position as co-pilot for Air America. That's the CIA airline back in the Vietnam days. I was treasurer for Sojourn Middle School, Advanced Energy Conversion, Stanford Flying Club. And then my dad was chief of finance of Europe and administered the Marshall Plan. He set up American Express in Europe with David Rockefeller, who was our house guest for several months. My great-great-great-grandfather orchestrated the Boston Tea Party, signed the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and was the first treasurer of the United States, George Clemmer. My great-uncle started Shell Oil Company and was Lord Mayor of London, Marcus Samuels. I've interacted with Edward Teller, Buckminster Fuller, Linus Pauling, Jerry Brown, Jerry Garcia, Ken Kesey, Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, Lisa, Paul Tibbets, Bert Rutan, Jenny Yeager, Bob Truax, Robin Williams, Suzanne Summers, Jim Brown, Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, Leon Panetta, Dave Packard, Bill Hewlett, Alexander Poniatov, Frederick Terman, both Bill Grahams, Richard Pryor, Mr. Universe, Miss USA, and other people.